Today on Bitcoiners United, I have Vince, host of the Bitcoin Broadcast Podcast. You can find it on YouTube at the BTC Broadcast. Like and subscribe there. You're cranking out a lot of good weekly work, lots of good guests. You're also on X at HodlFlorida.
Yep.
And Vince, you used to live this time of year. You might be in the snow and cold. And a little over a year ago, you moved to Florida. You're all in on Florida. You're loving Florida. How's that going?
Oh, I love it, dude. I mean, it's kind of weird though, because yes, I'm from Colorado originally. So
Mhm.
it's usually snowing, it's usually freezing, but Colorado is like 72 degrees right now. So that's very odd for Colorado. And but I love Florida, dude. I absolutely love living here.
High altitude down to like 100 feet.
Yeah, I'm sea level.
Yeah. um, I have dreams someday. I'm in Oregon, and then we get our share of winter here in the Columbia Gorge. I'm just kind of used to it, and I grew up in it. I grew up in Idaho, and I just knew nothing else. And as I get older and I feel some personal agency, and me and my wife have talked about it, it's like, why don't we live near the beach or something? Like, why are we here? So to make that kind of life decision that like you can go out and do things, it takes a little courage. Bitcoin, I think, gets your brain thinking like I can just live my life the way I want, and you have your own convictions. So, what was it that made you make that decision to switch?
So a little backstory. So in Colorado, my wife worked in oil and gas.
Mm,
And so she had been in it for about 9 years. And her company that she worked for ended up merging with a different company. Well, that company ended up being headquartered in Houston, Texas. And so they gave us the option, take a severance or go to Houston. And so that was our first move. And we were like, we literally wrote out pros and cons like a child, like list of just like the benefits. And our pros outweighed the con. You know, we wanted out of Colorado. Just politically, I don't know which way you lean. I don't care. But
Colorado, I've seen, yeah, Colorado. I don't know if it's changed, but
yes.
they're progressive in some ways, and they were sort of conservative in some ways. And I saw them being like purple, but now much more blue. And there's some derangement going on for sure.
Colorado's changed a lot. I mean, just the mountains, going skiing is super expensive. It's packed. It's awful. Like going to the mountains is the best thing in Colorado, and it was amazing. And yeah, Colorado flipped blue, and then it went blue like very hard. And it's all about the LGBTQ stuff.
Mm,
It doesn't align with us at all, like anymore. And so
yeah.
when we had the opportunity to leave Colorado, we took it and we went to Houston. We only spent a year in Houston. And then once again, my wife's work, someone reached out to her on LinkedIn. I didn't even know people use that anymore. And so someone reached out on LinkedIn and we flew out to Florida for her to do an interview. And lo and behold, it was like this amazing company that we had never heard of. It's an energy company, and they offered to move us to Florida. And we were like, that sounds amazing. Let's do it. I mean, once you
Yeah.
spend like a week here, you're like, I could live here. Like, no way. I'm 15 minutes from the beach. Like, this is fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah, like Houston and like south of there, Galveston, like you've got your access to the beach, but I mean, your wife's got a good career going, and you've been the supportive family man. And now, if the now that you're there, if the Broncos are playing the Gators, are you conflicted or
It's the
uh,
Dolphins. The Dolphins.
at the
The Ga-
Dolphins
the
in Florida?
Gators are the Gators are the college team. That's yeah. So
Oh yeah, I see that. I'm not good on the sports. Sorry.
no. So I'm still Broncos through and through. Broncos
Okay.
all the way. I will cheer for the Dolphins though, which has been pretty much non-existent this season. If you
Okay.
follow, the Dolphins are awful this year, and the Broncos are amazing this year. So it's been easy.
Good. I should know better about the Dolphins. I followed football more when I was a little kid. I was into the Bears because my dad liked the Bears. So and
Okay.
in the 80s, they were in the Super Bowl and all that. And I liked uh, the players and all that at the time. But man, I haven't always followed it lately. Now, here's one thing I noticed. So um, during the COVID years in Oregon and with my job, and there was a lot of, granted, there was a lot of unknown about it, but it came down hard and quick, and it was definitely all the rules and taking it all seriously and all um, the FUD around humanity. And it was like, okay, I just got used to that. And then I had reason I traveled to Texas for something, got off the plane and was going around. I'm like, wait, people aren't like acting deranged here so much. Like, this is weird. People seem normal.
Yeah.
This is refreshing. Like, there's actually life just happening. And it gave me pause, but I was actually kind of appreciative of the fact that, okay, it's not just Texas. Politically, when you move to Florida, for sure in Texas, but going to Florida, do you notice, yeah, big political changes? People generally, the culture is quite different and better.
Oh yeah, no, that was a big point in us moving from Colorado to Texas because that was 2022, and so Colorado was still like shut down, like full on mask everywhere you went. You had to wear a mask, and then
Yeah,
I remember we got invited to it was I think a concert. No, I think it was an Avalanche game, and to get into the Avalanche game, they were in the playoffs. And my buddy had season tickets. He was like, "Do you want to come?" I was like, "Absolutely." And I was like, "Wait, do you have to be vaccinated to get into the stadium?" He's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Oh, am I allowed to come?" I was like, "Oh, like hell no." I was like, I was out, man. I was like, I'm not going to that stadium ever again. The fact that I have to be vaccinated to go into a stadium and I can wear a mask as soon as I get in, but as soon as I sit down, I can take it off. I was like, this is
yeah.
absolutely insane. And
You see,
so,
like the marching band with a mask on, and then playing their trumpet
yeah,
underneath, or and it's just like, what?
they
This
like
a
got
whole
a little
show.
hole. Yeah, dude. And so, yeah, we went to Texas and it was really weird. Immediately my wife and I were both like, "Do you feel like more free?" Like we felt more free, and it was
Yeah,
really weird. And then when we moved from Texas to Florida, I was like, I even feel more at home here because like Texas is actually pretty liberal in some of the big cities like Austin and stuff.
yeah,
But in Florida, the only people that are liberal here are the New Yorkers that come down for the winter. And so everyone else here is like pro freedom, pro like sovereignty, like don't fuck with us type thing. It's like it's so nice and it's refreshing. And I hate that I wouldn't want to go back to Colorado because they turned so blue and the restrictions were unbelievable. And the fact that most of my friends, I lost so many friends in Colorado because I was like, how do you not see this
hmm
like overreach from government? I was
hmm
like, this is insane. And they were so on board. Like, what do you mean overreach? This is for your safety. They were just repeating like the headlines. And I was like,
You want people to die?
yeah, grandma killer. I was like, I got called grandma killer. Like we had Thanksgiving and like my whole family came in and stuff. And they were all my friends were like, we're having it by ourselves. And I was like, why are you guys being such pussies? Like this is it's so ridiculous. And so I refused. Like we stopped getting invited to friends' houses. We stopped. They had babies, and we didn't get like invited to their baby shower. But literally a year later, we were in their or a year earlier, we were in their wedding, like groomsmen and bridesmaid in their wedding. But then they had a baby, and because we weren't vaccinated and weren't wearing our masks, they wouldn't invite us over. And we were like,
Yeah,
this is insane. Like I
yeah,
don't know. And so getting out of Colorado was big for us.
yeah. All logic aside, it gave people their own sense of like weird power and control divided over political excuses and but oh no, it's not politics. This is science. Follow the science. It's like, you know what? I tried to follow the science and all I found was I was following the money. And then
Right.
if you want to get more conspiratorial about it, just the kind of the psyop of it, I think it was during the COVID years that so we had just had a baby and I was at home taking care of the baby for a period of time off work. and all the COVID madness was going on, and I had some time, and that's when I started listening to like Michael Saylor on Breed Love, and then going down other like anything Saylor there for a while, and then I found other podcasts. I think that's why it's important, like podcasts like yours, whether it's this one, people want to find their flavor on hearing anything about this stuff. That whole weird time, and when the stimulus checks are coming in, so you're looking at this little bit of money. Meanwhile, I had a job where I can't work from home. I'm going into the trenches and digging salt out of the mine. And so, I mean, life didn't change for me so much, but I was observing all the weird reactions to it. It gave me pause to go, what the hell's going on? And I was already cynical about the money, but I didn't have an escape hatch. I was just kind of like, there's this crypto stuff going on. Like, I don't know what that is. I'd already heard of and discarded Bitcoin years ago, but I gave it another look. And then we're talking 2019, I guess, when I stopped and thought about it again. And I think, if there's anything good coming out of this, what I would hope is coming out of COVID and during COVID, a lot of people had to stop and think if they were capable about it. And it helped shake people up or say, wait, no. I hope people woke up. And for me, that part of that waking up included Bitcoin.
Yep.
And instead of being like, well, I can hoard gold, or what's the alternative here? Just, survivalism. It opened up that escape hatch. Now there's that moment we go through of shitcoinery and learning the landscape of it all. I went through that, but then I learned better and learned more. And I'm like, Bitcoin is the way. And by 2020, late 2020, I was like, yep, all in Bitcoin only. That's it. And so, yeah, did COVID. So basically, I felt kind of center left in my views on things, fairly socially open, business conservative-ish, but it's like in the center.
Yep.
And I hadn't changed all that much, but meanwhile, the left had moved the guardrail way over, and suddenly I'm like far right, and there's consternation over who's been vaccinated to come to grandma's house for Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you're not vaccinated? Oh, we're just concerned. And I'm just like, I'm out. Sorry. I mean, if I'm going to be weird, here I am. Here, my flag's up.
Yeah.
So,
no, I mean, I've said it multiple times on my podcast, because I always ask people, how they got into Bitcoin. And the number one thing is COVID. COVID was the eye opener for so many people because you were looking for something. I mean, if you look towards the government, they weren't going to save you. You saw the money printer go crazy. And so I think COVID literally was like, it paved the path for normal people who are questioning the government and questioning money. It paved like that path. It was the biggest advertisement for Bitcoin I've ever seen.
yeah.
And it was worldwide. It wasn't just certain cities. It wasn't just the United States. It was every country in the world, was pretty much doing the same thing, besides maybe like Switzerland, Sweden, like maybe some African countries. Everywhere else was doing the exact same thing. And I think that drove a ton of people to Bitcoin because they were like, the government can just print $8 trillion and hand out checks, and they can just hand me a $1,200 check, but they printed, what was the first print? Do you remember if it was like 2.2 trillion or something?
I can't remember the exact figures, but it was figures exponentially beyond what I thought made any sense to me. Like I'd try to equate it to, and I saw a post about this at one point, like equating this to a family's budget. It's like, let's say the household makes $100,000 a year, and you're spending $200,000 a year, and you're 2.8 million in debt, and your interest payment, just the interest payment, is gonna be $100,000. Like, this is ridiculous. So I mean, it already 15 years ago, I remember being kind of incensed that the Federal Reserve is printing 10 to 15 billion a month now. Like, oh my goodness. That was kind of like after the 2008 financial crisis. And that's the 2008 financial crisis, and those bailouts seemed like a big deal to me at the time. That kind of got me really thinking initially about the money going on. During COVID, it was just like, yeah, we got the money. Here's your money. And when you saw it tangibly in your hand, here's a check, and you're like, who's paying for this? Like,
Yeah.
we're paying for this. Oh, wait, are we paying for this? Wait, yeah. There's taxation, sure, but then inflation. What is inflation? And monetary debasement itself is theft on all of us. So I had to get my mind around all that. COVID basically gave a push in a lot of directions, and also reconciling personal values about why do I feel the way I feel? How do I defend that? What are my values? And hence, what is money? What's my ethical money? And yeah, all those roads lead to Bitcoin. And like in your Bitcoin broadcast, it's like all conversations lead to Bitcoin, and it does. Like now for me, we can be talking about politics or COVID or faith or other things in life, and man, it comes back to the money so many times, people's incentives and everything about what they're doing in their life.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's so true. It's like literally every conversation can come back to Bitcoin in some way or another. Because you're like,
Hmm.
yeah, like you said, I mean, even if you get into like the most nitty gritty of politics, you're like, well, where does it all stem from? Like, even immigration, you're like, why are people leaving their country? They're like, oh, the money. And you're like,
Sure.
why are companies doing what they're doing? They're like, okay, clearly money. Like, why are people doing what they're doing? Money. It's like everything is like rooted back to the money, and the money's broken.
Yeah.
And so that's where Bitcoin comes in. So yeah, every conversation can come back to Bitcoin if you just follow it. And that's why I have it. But yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, but yeah, like I was saying, yeah, so they printed like $2 trillion, and I was wondering where's all that money going, because $2 trillion was something, like 12 grand a person, right? And they were handing us 1,200. And I was like, well, where's all the other money going? And then you start looking at like the PPP loans, and I was like,
Mm,
why is like Kanye West and Kim Kardashian getting $5 million for their business during COVID when they're both worth, 200 million to $1 billion? Like, why are these rich people getting so much money for free from the government? And then, like you said, like, where is it coming from? Well,
uh-huh.
I remember distinctly them coming on and saying, we will not tax this money. Like, you will not owe taxes on the $1,200. And I was like, bullshit.
Yeah.
We're not, you're not going to ask for it directly, but we're going to pay it. And I
Yeah.
remember telling my friends, they kept being like, yeah, free money. Like, they called it Trump bucks at first, because Trump did do the first stimulus. And
Yeah.
then Biden just kept it going. And they were like, oh, yeah, like free money, free money. And I was like, this is not free money.
Hmm.
And there, what are you going to do with your money? Some people were like, oh, I'm paying off this debt. Some people were like, oh, they bought whatever expensive thing that they've always wanted, game systems, video games type things, or, TVs, like just stupid stuff. And I was like, I'm putting it in Bitcoin. And they were like, you're retarded. They're like, that's so stupid. Bitcoin was like $9,000 at the time, right? And
Uh-huh.
and I was like, no, my wife and I both are putting all the stimulus money into Bitcoin. And
Yeah.
they were like, that's the dumbest thing. Like, oh, every time we would get a new one, they're like, Vince is just going to buy Bitcoin with it. And I was like, yes, I am. I'm putting all of it right back into Bitcoin, all of it. And now that money is like, what, worth 20,000
Sure.
each.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
was like,
It's 10x.
best investment I've probably ever made was the free money from the government purchasing the most scarce money that we've ever created.
Yeah. That's when I started stacking as well. And, and we, wrote it up and then wrote it down. And when the price goes down, and when we just think fiat, it's our natural language in money is the dollar, and we translate everything into kind of dollar terms. So a lot of people will focus on the price, the fiat price, kind of what that means. It means a lot in terms of where money is moving and how it translates into our legacy systems. Um, so when you write it down, though, you kind of have to reconcile, why am I in this again? I think when it peaked at the time, I can't remember. It might have been in the 40,000, maybe got to 60,000 range.
69.
Yeah,
Yeah.
69,000. Okay.
In 2021, it peaked
Mhm.
at 69 and then dropped all the way back down to
Yeah.
15.5 in 2022.
So riding it up, and then as I was riding it down, the hopium like moon number go up brain started to have to get real with, okay, now why am I in this again? And I had enough knowledge and conviction to say, no, I know why I'm in this, but I had to reinforce that. And then yeah, for a while there, when it's been a year or so of riding it way down and it hit 15, 16,000. And at that time, I felt like I'd gotten to the point where, like, okay, these are cheap sats. You can stack like well now. And I kind of had this renewed um, goal to orange pill more friends and family. And they were like somewhat unaware or fuddish about it. At that time, it was in the teens, maybe pushing
There
20K.
was a lot of FUD going around back then
A
because
lot of
with the
oh, you could buy
FTX
lottery
thing.
tickets.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I gifted some family a little Bitcoin for Christmas and was really pushing. Yeah, no, this is great. And they'd seen recently was like, what? You just want to lose your money? It's going to zero. Um, what was that? 3 years ago? And so to go from the teens back up to where we're at, it's like, man, Bitcoin has now crashed to the 90K range. The To call it a bear market, now it's volatile. We could talk about maybe what all's going on there. Like, people are kind of wondering, price action, and this is weird. We're kind of in this chasm of breaking out into a broader corporate adoption and stuff, and all the treasury companies. But to call it a bear market, it's like it's shallower and narrower than anything I've seen in the past. But if it's your first rodeo, it could feel really hard. If you got really excited just like a year ago or last spring, and you've just kind of ridden this year could feel hard. For me, it's like, you know what? I still feel like I can keep stacking decently under 100K. I think 2026 could be a crazy year. I don't know. There's a lot of pressure forces, like a spring loaded, just big powers like positioning themselves, getting their minds around it. They don't want to be last. It could blow. I mean, I don't want to. I'll always be stacking, but if there's some God candles happening, It'll be a mix of like validation and like cool, and damn, it's more expensive to get rid of my printed Federal Reserve notes.
Yeah, I think the most important thing is that the price does matter because you're not going to hold an asset that's not appreciating, that's not going up. People will not hold that long term. So the price does matter long term. Short term, it does not matter. Bitcoin hasn't changed. Bitcoin
Yeah,
is still Bitcoin regardless of the price. And bear markets build conviction. The more bear markets, like a 4-year tour of duty type thing, like you got to put in your 4 years.
right.
Uh, you got to live through the bull market and then you got to live through the bear market. And this bull market was so lame that people that got in the past 6 months to a year, they hate it. They absolutely hate it because everyone was, pumping 150, 250, 350 Bitcoin. And we didn't even come close to like any of that. And it's like, well, now's the time to build your conviction and build your stack
Mhm.
because if you're greedy, you should be buying as much Bitcoin as possible under 100K because I honestly don't think it's going to last that long. And when I say that long, like what, 6 months to a year max. Like if we are under 100K by the end of 2026, I will be shocked. The fact
Hmm.
that we would still be under $100,000 by, by this time next year,
Oh yeah.
I would be like, wow, like that is wild. And then if you're like me, I buy every day. So I have,
Hmm.
it's not huge buys. On big dip days, I buy a lot more. Um, I mean, you should be smart about your stacking. Don't be the idiot that goes all in just because it's pumping. It's exciting and it's
Yeah.
fun to buy the top. I do buy the top every time. I'll put,
I know.
I
If
buy
I
like,
buy, I know the price is going to go down if I check,
yeah, yeah. I mean, I'll put a buy in for like $20 to $50 at the top, just because it's nothing crazy though. But people that go all in at the top and then like, yeah, you gotta wait a while if you buy the top of a bull market, and it really tests your conviction. And
Yeah.
it can break people watching Bitcoin go down. We're only down like 30%. I'm like, for you and I, we've been in it for long enough where you're like 30%. This is like a blessing if you're still buying. Like if you haven't reached your stack goal, this is still great. But if you're all in, you put everything in, and you're not like making more money somehow to like keep buying, yeah, you're scared. Like
Yeah.
you're not having a good time right now. Uh,
Yeah. I had a peer professional friend of mine that I didn't, I'd been working on him for years, and he was totally misunderstanding and anti Bitcoin. And I didn't orange pill him, but I got him off zero, because he basically, we'd talk or he'd check in. He's telling me about his stocks and his hustle and all the work he was doing to try to keep up, and like, oh, this is up, oh, that's down, blah. And I was like, dude, I don't even worry about that. I just stay humble, stack sats, dollar cost average. Don't worry about it. Put in time. And so he kind of relented after a point and got some. And this was months ago, like, yeah, 9 months ago. And after like a month, or like, it was not even a month, I think. And he was just kind of going like, when is this going to be $1 million, And I'm like, and I told him from the get go, I said, you need to give this years, give it 4 years, at least. Just don't even worry about it for a year. Just wait. But he was so used to like checking the price. What's it doing? Oh, it's up. Oh, it's down. And he couldn't handle it. And so, yeah, it's just the time preference. What helps short circuit that monkey brain for me, where it's like, having a high time preference. I'll DCA. So like, I got skin in the game. It's what I can afford. I budget for it. And I'm not like worried about like, what did it do this week? Not that I don't check the price from time to time to kind of get a sense of things, but I'll just DCA. That helps kind of short circuit fiat monkey brain. And I will also just entertain the concept of dollar sat parity someday. And so when you put in $10, $100, whatever you can, and I just look at the number of sats and I'm like, yeah, that's a stack. I feel good about those numbers. Um, and just try to keep perspective on it. But it's easy to get, I guess, impatient sometimes. Like you can't help it. But
I like to
now,
think of it. Sorry, I like to
yeah,
think of it. So, like, if you under $100,000 or right around 100K, we all know Bitcoin's going to a million, right? Like
yeah,
it
eventually, yeah,
will.
yeah,
The time frame
yeah,
doesn't matter, but it will.
yeah,
Every $10, every $100, like add a zero to it, because that's a 10x from here. So you put in $10, that will be worth 100. Put in $1,000, that will be worth $10,000. And just add your zero. And it's like every little stack, it really does add up, and it does matter for your future.
totally. And then when you're just DCAing and you're not having to play the hustle game and to try to tread water to keep up, you feel like one, your time preference and your values can shift. I found my valuing of my time shifted. So it's like time with my family, time to get out there and walk in the grass. You get to go out golfing a little better in Florida, enjoying the outdoor sunshine and weather and the vibe. How's the golfing going?
Oh, great. We went on what, Saturday? Yeah, we went last Saturday. Yeah,
Nice.
we love golfing.
Coming up in January, in El Salvador, Max and Stacy have their golf invitational thing going on,
Yeah.
and I'm a buddy of mine. He came up with the MicroSeed. I work with MicroSeed here.
Daniel?
Dan White, yeah. And so he and Robin were with you, and you're an affiliate with MicroSeed,
Yes.
and so I'm part of MicroSeed. And so Daniel's a big golfer, and so he was like, "We got to go to this." And MicroSeed sponsored uh, the the um, the golf tournament down there. And so I'm not a great golfer. I mean, I'm not good. I'm not. I might lose some balls, but I
Same.
can get down the course. But anyway, I don't think I'll be golfing in the tournament, but. So I'll be down in El Salvador in January 6th through the 12th. And so I'm really looking forward to that. But I'm just going to be observing the golf, I think. But anyway, but basically balancing quality of life and your values with being totally preoccupied with the numbers and the stacking and the finances. And it's like, I imagine you maintain a balance with everything you want to think about all the time with Bitcoin, and then stepping back and going, I also have life to live, and like your wife wants to go on a vacation or something. You're like, oh, that's a lot of sats or whatever. But balancing living a good life now, even as you stack for the future, and you're not compromising one over the other.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
No,
I
I mean,
think,
I've definitely. I gotta admit though, when COVID was happening, we were talking about that earlier. When that was happening, I was full stack mode. I was like, you
I
can't
was, yeah.
travel, you can't do anything. Like they were shutting down parks and stuff. I was like, we
Yeah.
can't do anything, and we were still just getting paid from work. And I was like, we were just in hardcore stack mode, and that's paid off greatly. But
Mhm.
now I do struggle with it when we're like, okay, we haven't been on vacation, even though we like live in vacation now. It's like, oh, we just like live where other people vacation. But it's like, no, like my wife needs a break as well. Like she needs to get out of work mode and like we need to go. And so, yeah, I'm getting better about like actually spending time, trying to make her life better as well instead of just stacking sats.
Yeah.
Like I'm not selling my couch, I'm not selling my house. I'm
You still have a chair.
yeah, I still have my chairs. Yeah. But
I know.
the high time preference, I mean, you have to look towards the future, because if you're not, then there's no hope. You kind of lose that, like, well, what am I doing if the future doesn't look good? And so you have to, the little stacks, the daily little stacks help with that. And then you feel like, oh, like I haven't stacked in a while. I'm not saving for my future. Um, you know, and so, but you also
Yeah.
have to enjoy life.
Yeah.
The whole point is not to get rich. It's, some of the things that I prioritize now is like going to the gym. Like I have to go to the gym. That's like, it's non-negotiable now. It's like, no matter what, you go to the gym or do some sort of exercise. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be, going to lift heavy. It's like, no, go for a walk, go play pickleball, go play golf, go do something active. I have to do something active. I can't be like a sedentary, piece of shit.
Yeah, you've set some goals for yourself, and maybe I don't call them resolutions for 2026.
Hmm.
I've reframed things like resolutions or goals in order to get myself up and going. I reframe goals into like decisions. Like, okay, I've made this decision. I'm going to do this. And for you, and for others, so it can be like, I want to get like that .1 Bitcoin,
Yeah.
or hell, I mean, a Bitcoin if you can. You've made some of those goals. What I can see, like, imagine in 2026, you set a goal of something, and the price starts to get away from you and you're like, no, I'm still trying to get, it's like being humble with people out there. It's like, I'll never own a Bitcoin. It's like, call it 0.01 Bitcoin. Just get to 0.01. If you can do that, can you get to 0.1? And if you can do that, every 0.1 is a major upgrade, level up. And then, yeah, just set those goals. Your goals also being clean living,
Yeah.
strength, getting stronger, your health, and Bitcoin. But you've just set some good goals for yourself to, just through and through, physically, mental health, financially, spiritually, to just live a better and better life of self-improvement, which is going to show through in everything you do.
Yeah.
So that's admirable, I see.
Yeah, I think it's really important. I dealt with like really, I don't think I've ever said this. I dealt with like really high anxiety for a while, like the type of anxiety where it's like almost debilitating at some points, where
Mm,
like leaving the house was like, scary. It was like
mm,
it got to this anxiety point where it was like so bad. It was like going out to eat was like I almost couldn't do it because I just felt so nauseous. And I was drinking a lot.
mm,
It's a downward spiral. You have anxiety, and so what numbs your mind is alcohol. So I would drink, and then that would numb my mind. So anxiety would go away. But then the next day you would have anxiety, so you would drink, and it was like this downward spiral of just like
and it can make you
negativity.
depressed.
Oh yeah, depression set in hard. It did. It really did. And so to come around full circle, like to go into that because it came out of nowhere. I have no idea. I never had anxiety about anything. Like I don't even know how to describe it. Imagine like your biggest fear, like if you're scared of heights and you're like skydiving, like that pit in your stomach, your palms are sweating, you're you're like so nervous you can't really talk. I would get that feeling when I was doing nothing. It would just
Oh boy.
happen. And
Mm,
it was like you had that pit in your stomach all day, 24/7. And I couldn't get rid of it. And so I turned to alcohol. And so that's
yeah.
why I don't drink anymore. I might drink in the future. I'm not sure yet because I don't think I have a problem with drinking, but the drinking caused the anxiety, or it amplified the anxiety, and then it also numbed it. So yeah, setting
Yeah.
goals like that I think are really important for people because once you can help your mental health and get out of like the depression, anxiety state, it's amazing like what you can do. And you put your mind to something, and I used to be so scared to do something new, and now
Hmm.
it's like who cares? I don't care what people think. I mean, if it fails, oh well, like sure that sucks, but I learned a lot. I've never done a podcast. This is my first time trying to do a podcast. I've never done a YouTube channel. I'm learning everything on the go. um, I'm doing it all myself. I've never edited podcasts. I am literally learning that on the go. And so, yeah, you have to set goals. And I set small stacking goals. Um, I like to set like the 0.01.
Hmm.
Okay, maybe set that for depending on how much you make. You can set that as a month goal. You can set that as a 6 month goal. You can set that as a year goal. Like if you're really hurting for money, don't stress yourself out because that will only make things worse. And
Right.
then you will be so focused on the price going up that you'll hate Bitcoin.
Yeah. It's too
Set,
expensive, or I'll never have a Bitcoin.
yeah,
It's not
yeah, you
about
want to
a
be,
Bitcoin. It's yeah.
yeah. You have to set logical, achievable goals. And so setting, the 0.01 and then to point one. I mean, if you can set point one and get to that goal, like that's a phenomenal feat. That's like
Yeah.
$8,700 right now for point one Bitcoin. Most people don't even have that in their savings account.
Yeah.
So if you can get to that, that's phenomenal. Like do it. And then if it
Yeah.
takes you another 5 years to get to half a Bitcoin or point two Bitcoin, like just keep going,
Yeah.
keep stacking, keep setting little goals, and you'll get there.
Yeah. You'll be ahead of 99% of the people out there when they're
Yeah.
scrambling to maybe get it off their ETF or whatever later. Like, wait, no, it's not mine. Like,
Yeah.
I stacked. That's another aspect to this, is the learning aspect of like people I've gotten off zero, but they only wanted to go through like their trusted broker. And it's like, okay, well, I mean, that's a step, but it's like the learning aspect of also being able to take self custody and take the responsibility of how you actually have your Bitcoin. And and yeah, just the little goals. It's like you're way ahead of the game if you're just, staying humble and stacking sats. Um, it's now when it comes to, I think of, so we lost a lot of people to COVID, and most of them are still alive. I feel like that's a Joe Rogan joke, I think he said.
Yeah.
But COVID wrecked a lot of people psychologically. There's people today with basically they're stuck in a kind of various aspects of derangement. The anxieties and the things about it, just kind of like the world out there. Basically, you had a lot of courage and conviction to step up, saddle up, click record, start going. Um, it breaks through barriers that are often imposed on us, if you will. I mean, we ultimately, it's up to us to make decisions and have personal agency. But man, we're given a lot of reason to, like, we're fed a lot of fear and doubt and anxiety. And I was talking about this yesterday on the pod. Um, the problem, reaction, solution. I was talking with Sean Clark about
Yeah.
government not letting any good crisis go to waste. And there will always be like another crisis. Do you ever go down the rabbit hole? Like, I'm crazy, but where I'll go sometimes is like, okay, we know the money is beyond broken. I don't see a path out. Um, there's going to have to be like another great panic with another great government solution. My concern is that the money's broken. We have to somehow like keep the stock market floated for people all retiring in mass. And yet millennials or Gen Z are just kind of feeling totally left out and like, I will never own a house. Uh, what do we do here? AI's taken all your jobs now, people. And at one level, I feel like we have the potential to enter a golden age, and Bitcoin and with AI can really launch humanity into these amazing directions. We have at our fingertips this huge capability now. What I see happening financially potentially is like a crisis, uh, things building up around CBDCs, digital ID, UBI rolling out just makes sense. Hey, I mean, like we got, Gen Z's got to have some support cushion here. With all of that in place, it suddenly feels like this framework could drop down around the money. And it's not just money, it'd be like your identity and existence in the world is connected to a switch where it's watched, it could be regulated, it could be turned off. Just don't cross the line. What's the line? Well, we might give you a warning, or we might just you might just find out. Like when I look at stuff going on in England and the free speech stuff, or Australia, and Sean Clark and I were talking about it's not just immigration; it's mass immigration, and the problem, reaction, solution from that was, oh, well, you don't like all that what happened. Well, digital ID now will help protect citizens from immigration issues. And the digital ID connected to the money, connected to the UBI and how you pay your taxes, and maybe then how anyone is paid, and they can create a new cycle of a new money that still remains completely debased. Do you ever? So, long story short, that's a rabbit hole. Do you ever entertain those ideas?
Oh, absolutely. I've been talking about, going back again to 2020 when I was buying Bitcoin, and I was going down that rabbit hole deep, and I was like, man, like CBDCs are coming. And I would tell my friends that. And that was back in like 2021. And they were like, what is that? And I was like,
Yeah.
central bank digital currency. They're going to control your money. You're going to have UBI. And I was like, dude, it's so coming. It's inevitable at this point. Inevitable at this, like,
Yeah.
I don't see another route they can go because every other route is like, what do they do? I mean, I can't wrap my head around what else they could do. You can only print so much. They've been able to kick the can down the road further than I thought they could at this point.
Yeah, me too.
So it's kind of shocking that they can still just do it and do it and do it. So who knows? That could go on for another 10, 15 years. Who knows?
I guess. Yeah.
But eventually they have to turn to something because the money will become worthless. I mean,
Yep.
when your $100 bill buys you 1 gallon of gas, like, it's kind of worthless money. Like, not
Yeah.
everyone can be making, $1,000 an hour.
Right.
Like, where are we going to turn? And then you talk about the younger generations. I'm a millennial, so I'm 35.
Mm.
Um, I'm very blessed that my wife and I bought a house in 2018 because if we did not buy a house, we would never have gotten that equity to be able to keep buying houses because we take that money and we put it into a new house only because we moved from Colorado to Texas, Texas to Florida, that we use that money. Hindsight, if we had put that money into Bitcoin, we could buy a very nice house right now, but we didn't.
Right.
We bought a
Well,
house.
yeah.
So, yeah, hindsight, Bitcoin would have been the better investment, but I don't understand how Gen Z can afford a house right now. Like, not very many Gen Z are making 300,000 a year. Like, even
Yeah.
if you're making 100 and let's just say 120,000, you qualify for like a $400,000 house, maybe, if you have good
Mhm.
credit and no debt.
Right.
Like, the average house is around that price, if not more, depending on where you're living. So they can't afford a quality house in a nice, safe neighborhood. People will always be like, oh, you just can't live where you want to or something. It's like, well, if I have a family, I don't want to raise them where the schools are rated D and F and where crime is out of control and there's drug dealers on the corner streets and homeless people. Like, I still want to live a good life. Like,
Yeah.
it's so demoralizing to be like, I can't afford a house in a neighborhood that like my parents would grow up in. I can't afford a house where I feel safe raising a family. And rent, you pretty much have to have a roommate at this point to survive, and you're
Mhm.
both working full time. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, I can easily see UBI being issued and people falling for it because they're so broken. They were promised go to college, get the degree. Well, now you're $80,000 in debt and you still can't afford anything.
Yeah.
And what are you supposed to do? Like, people get violent when they're strapped for survival
Yeah.
and they can't survive. I mean, it's tough. And so if a government comes along and says, we'll give you X amount of dollars per month, we're going to tax the rich for it, is what they'll say, right? We're going to take from them, give to you because you deserve it. You're a good, upstanding citizen, but you have to keep it in this Fed coin. And
Right.
this is your federal money that we allow you to use. And then you fast forward another 5 years and they're like, hey guys, climate change is really bad. You need to stop eating steak. And we've noticed that you buy too much steak and too many hamburgers. So you can only buy 1 pound of steak a week now. And you've been driving a lot. No more road trips for you. You can't buy, gas outside of this 15-minute area. Your
Yeah.
card will be shut off. And then all of a sudden they have control of your money, and then you throw in the ID and cameras everywhere and they know exactly where you're going at all times. And then
Yep.
they're like, hey, look, he crossed borders. What is he spending his money on? Shut down his Fed coin.
Yeah.
He's going to a rally in Oregon or Seattle or Denver. He's going to, fight against us. Shut down his wallet. He's not allowed to come here. He's been posting on social media that he's against what's going on. Nope, no travel for him.
Yeah.
And so it gets dark very quickly.
Yeah, and people there it can naively people can be like, well, if you're not a criminal, what do you have to worry about? It's not, that's not how it rolls. And initially it seems really obvious in black and white, like, well, don't be a terrorist then.
Yeah.
You know what? They're going to apply, and over time, it's like they're going to apply like the heuristics to, they're going to have a whole profile on you.
It's for your
And
safety.
yeah, and for your safety, and like the whole community, the communitarian, like, this is about all of us, not just you or whatever. And so it might start on one end, and then it goes down a path steadily where they got a hammer, and so things are just kind of like, where's the next nail? Where's the next nail? I remember 20 years ago, and I was going to school in Montana at the time, and states like Idaho and Montana were standing up against the real ID. Like this was under Bush Jr., I think. And real ID was coming up, and it was after 9/11 and all the fear. What happened at a 9/11 was all the banking secrecy stuff, and it became just part of banking acts, but for terrorism. But I remember it was like there was a hard stance against real ID, like states weren't going to comply with this federal ID thing. And then here we are, and it took some time, but I'm going through the airport, and TSA is reminding me, and this was last spring, by March, you're going to have your real ID. And I'm like, yeah, I know. And this isn't just Oregon. We're talking everywhere now. Like, you want to fly? You need your digital ID. It's like, I'm a citizen. I have a driver's license. You can look me up right now. You know who I am.
Yeah.
Well, you got to have your stamp. Just cause. And it's like, here we are. So it creeps. I talk, as much as I love, and you touched on this, so not to change subject, but so as much as I love Elon Musk and all various things he's doing, I wish he would just say the word Bitcoin and go in on Bitcoin like overtly. But he talks about, oh no, it's going to be a high basic income. It'll
Universal
be
high income. Yeah.
Personal high income. So people are like, oh, UBI, it's going to be welfare and all this, like enough to survive, and then people are disincentivized to do anything, whatever. I see that every day in welfare stuff. Like, why would I get a job? If I get a job, I'll lose money or whatever. It's like, oh boy. But yeah, he's talking about high basic income, high personal income. And it's like, what I worry about is, even as fiat erodes incentives and the time preference, or money's burning a hole in your pocket, or you get some money, you better spend it, and all that. Once UBI rolls out, I worry about, culturally, societally, that a lot of people be like, well, I'm getting my UBI. So I just like playing video games, and or kids these days, like looking for their purpose, as you're an adolescent and growing up, you don't know exactly what you want to do in life, and you're trying things and sorting it out, and it's hard and you got to push. But if you're just getting paid, well, then I'm not hungry. So I worry that it's going to short circuit a lot of cultural incentive, that we could just really drift. And then culturally, how are we going to compete with, say, China, who's just like, you people are all going to do this, and they're just like, okay, and off they go.
Yeah, no, it's a dark path.
Yeah,
because once humanity loses hope and meaning, then what is there to live for? That's really where depression can come in. If there's, first of all, universal high income is physically impossible. The fact that Elon Musk said that to Joe Rogan as a possibility, I was like, you've got to be kidding me. Elon, you're so smart, dude. I love what Elon does.
And after Doge and all that, all the fraud and waste and abuse, I had some hopes for Doge, and I'm glad they found what they found, and I think it needs to be an endless process. But even after Doge, it's like, Elon, you got to know where the money is not, or where the money comes from, don't you?
Yeah. And I'm like, you can't just, not everyone can earn, like I said earlier, like $1,000 an hour. You can't pay people to not do anything. He's like, oh, well, the productivity from AI and robotics, they'll produce everything. I'm like, what fairy tale world do you live in where everyone is just happy, everyone has abundance? Like, I think that's called heaven. Like,
Hmm.
we can't create that on earth.
Right.
It's not sustainable. People cannot do that. There's always greed. People are always going to want more, and they're going to want what you have. Okay, who controls the robotics? Who controls the AI? They'll be the most powerful person in the world if we come to this utopian world that he's talking about.
Hmm.
There's no way that this can happen. The only way is if there's a finite money, which is Bitcoin. And
Right.
it's like, but even then, can't I can't wrap my head around, well, what, so everyone gets 0.00001 Bitcoin a month or a year, and that's what you have to live on. But someone has to create something somewhere to
Yeah.
earn something. You can't just have a universal high income. It physically does not work. It
Yeah.
will collapse.
Yeah, like who's getting out there and doing the things, or crossing that threshold from I'm not productive right now, but I'm going to be productive doing something. I hate to see that get eroded, and then, or a class division, like a K-shaped economy culturally, where there's people that just have no choice but to slide, and then for the thinner upper levels of folks that run and own the things, they're doing great and they own all the stuff. But then it's like we've got, like, thinking back to who wrote the book, was it Jules Verne? I can't remember, but the time machine, where guy goes into the future, so very very far in the future, and there's like the Eloi, who are just kind of like basking around and singing songs and relaxing and chilling, and the Morlock, actually they live underground and they like run the machine of the world, and they're kind of unseen and they don't know who they are and they're not to be spoken of. Have you ever heard that story at all?
No.
Oh, it's an old book, but it's like sci or old sci-fi. But what I hate to see is like a class division of, I mean, we have like now haves and have-nots, but I just hate to see people sliding from what was a middle class into a welfare kind of a state, just on the dole, plugged in, and subsisting, I guess. But the money, as it dilutes, what does that look like? And yeah, so it gets back into kind of like, I feel Bitcoin is the escape hatch, an open door, just sitting there waiting for people. It's very accessible. Step through and escape. Like anyone can escape this. Um, I worry that not enough people will, but there's like I feel hope for a golden age is very possible if the roots of Bitcoin enter established traditional finance world and in government and nation states. I think it's inevitable. I'm hoping that Bitcoin changes the game there, changes a fundamental rule, and then they all have to shift to that and things get better. I think for individual plebs like you and me, it opens a wide door for freedom if you so choose to just take that step. Um,
And the sooner you take that step, the more you'll be rewarded. So
yeah,
the sooner you learn about Bitcoin, the sooner you understand it and understand money, the more you'll be rewarded. The longer you wait, the less you'll be rewarded. But eventually, everyone will have to buy Bitcoin, I think.
yeah. And you're not late. Like I felt late.
Yeah,
Um,
I felt late too.
People would say, "Oh, you were so early." I'm like, "Dude, I felt late. You feel late. You're not late. You're early. We're all early. So just get going." And yet we do face these kind of existential concerns looming, crises looming, that uh, it gets to reconciling that in the background of, oh, there is always maybe the next big psyop or something. And reconciling that for you, I'll just get into, faith is a strong part of your life, and your belief, and you can speak to it however you like. But where does your values around Bitcoin align with your personal spiritual values about life itself?
Yeah, I mean, so I've actually talked about this with other people as well. I do think, you know, believing in God, and if you want to, say you're Christian, that's fine. I'm still not like the most religious person. I consider myself Christian, believe in God. And when you find that path, it gives you like this sense of hope. There's something better, there's something greater out there, there's creator, and there's something after this life that is, better. And so you do what you can on this life. Well, while you're on this life, you have Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is it gives you hope for the future of your life and your kids' life while you're here.
Hmm.
So it gives you that hope. It gives you some sort of meaning. I mean, you see people post all the time that Bitcoin is hope, and it's like it truly is, because with a flat fiat system, there's no hope. Like there's ETFs and stocks aren't going to save you, from all this stuff that we were just talking about. But Bitcoin is, and so they're very parallel with,
Hmm.
it's just you can't take Bitcoin with you to heaven type thing, but Bitcoin gives you that hope. I mean, because
Hmm.
it's the best thing I've ever seen as an option for humanity to thrive. Because
Yeah.
until something else maybe comes along, I don't see that. Oh, I mean, it's like literally the perfect thing. The creator disappeared. There's only 21 million. It can't be changed. Like everything is just like it's so perfect. Like you can't recreate Bitcoin. And so it's crazy that we live in this time where we are so early. Like it's
Hmm.
only 16, 17 years old. Like we're still so early. Price scares people at $87,000. And I'm like, who cares? Like just buy it. Just buy some, because
Hmm.
it's like your one shot at hope and the future.
Yeah.
You have to be able to own something that will be worth something. And I mean, same with, your faith in God. Like if you don't believe in God, then all right, murder doesn't matter. Like if you can get away with it, theft doesn't matter. It's, your morals go out the window, because who cares if I die? Like,
Yeah.
you know, that's not to point fingers, but that's why Muslims blow themselves up on you, because they believe that killing themselves gets them better in heaven. So you can't blame them. That's how they're brainwashed and taught. And it's like, so I don't know where I was going with
Yeah.
that. It just like
Well,
popped into my head.
yeah, you've got um, that strong foundation for your ethics and your values and purpose in life. And like, so being a good Christian, it's not just, well, I'm just going to let it go and God will sort it out. And I won't engage as hard because I'll go to heaven. I've done the things. The point of it really is engagement with life while we're here on earth. The point of us being here now is like, why? What is the point? As opposed to sort of the nihilist, anti-humanity sort of tropes that you'll see, and the things that get people really scattered and confused and distracted with a sense of their humanity and kind of a nihilism going on. Having faith, having that belief, gives you purpose. And while you're here on this earth, Bitcoin is the most ethical property, the most ethical money you can have. And again, Bitcoin also, it had its like immaculate conception and gift to us all in its own way. Now, granted, Satoshi and many others, things led up to Bitcoin, and people worked on it and work on it today. So it's a human invested project, but there's a magic there with the gift that Satoshi gave us that people speculated about, but that itself is really pretty special. I've heard a lot of theories about that too, about we live in this amazing little sliver in time in humanity, like the invention of the wheel, the invention of fire, the invention of the printing press, the invention of the internet. And we live in this time of the invention of sound money, decentralized, secure property.
Yeah.
It's an amazing moment in history to take by the reins and make use of and integrate it to your soul with who we are and why we're here. So um, I hear you alluding to that sense of purpose, and it includes a view on life and a foundation of faith. So
Yeah.
I think that's very strong.
Yeah, Pastor Coin is a great one to talk to about that.
Yep.
About, you mentioned ethical. Bitcoin is the most ethical money, and I mean, he does a great job explaining that, how it correlates with the Bible and stuff. And having ethical money is important.
Mm-hmm. Totally. Um, I I want to throw up your broadcast here. You have on YouTube. You've got the Bitcoin broadcast. You can find it at the BTC broadcast. Uh, you've had some great guests. You're chugging along with that, and I'm just super excited to see everything you're doing with that. There, you
Yeah,
can
thanks.
be on X. You can find the Bitcoin broadcast. You've got a handle there at the BTC broadcast as well.
Mhm.
So episodes and feeds coming along as you promote them on X. Your own personal page at HodlFlorida.
Yeah, that's where you'll find most of the stuff is on HODL Florida. The Bitcoin broadcast X page, I pretty much only post the podcast stuff.
Uh-huh.
So that's not like any thoughts or anything. It's just podcast stuff. The HODL Florida one is where you'll find me.
Yeah. Now you're an active participant with the Bitcoin Army. Your feed, uh, you're very prolific. Your Bitcoin thoughts, random thoughts, lots of insights. I guess I'll say prolific. You're pushing, pushing, pushing. The algorithm is such a puzzle to decipher sometimes. Where I'll come up with something really creative or thoughtful, and I mean, that feeling where you're putting stuff out there, and it's like, oh, 7 views or 10 views, and then something else pops, and you're like, okay, you have put a lot of work into that, and you've posted about tracking. You're monetized, and that's
Yeah.
a little something too, and that's taken a lot of proof of work.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what's going on with the algorithm right now because I used to post and yeah, getting a couple thousand views was like kind of normal.
Uh huh.
And now it's like I get like 300 to 400, and then like sometimes I'll get like over 1,000. It doesn't matter. I don't post on X for the money. I mean, you're not going to make a lot of money unless you have a big following. I post on there mainly it's my own thoughts, so I don't drive my wife crazy with my thoughts. So I'll post
Yeah.
on there. I'll post, random thoughts. I'll post about the most random things on there. You can engage with it or not. I don't care. And then, yeah, I will literally just, I'll be at the gym and I will have some sort of thought about Bitcoin. And I'm like, the best way to get a response to see what people think about it is literally just post your thoughts on X. And then you have tens of thousands of amazing people all in Bitcoin on X, and they'll respond and they'll give you their opinion. And so
Hmm.
it helps build your thoughts, your own conviction. I mean, yes, shit posting is part of it. You gotta, throw in your little comments about the bear market, bull market, price action. That's always fun.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've learned so much just from being on X and posting my own thoughts of like, is this a possibility? What are your thoughts on it? And I'll literally just post that, and people will give me like their well thought out response of like, this is dumb because X, Y, and Z, or I've never thought of it like that. That's really cool. And they'll, tell me their story or like how they think about it. And I
Yeah.
love it. I love being on X. It's a fun platform as long as you keep the negativity away.
Yeah, there's toxic trolls everywhere, I suppose, but X is one of the best public squares we can have. I'm so glad it got basically pulled away from the depths of despair, what, a few years ago, I guess.
Yeah.
Another great thing that Elon did, but the Bitcoin Army has been another great uh, circle of community where people who join and create great, interesting content. It's a, it's a. Hey, there we are. It's a great signal for Bitcoiners who share a community and share everything that's going on in their lives. Um, it's nice to be able to plug into that, and instead of kind of casting it out into the void for hopefully somebody's random algo feed, you can get a stronger Bitcoin clear signal, join up on the Bitcoin Army, and you got a lot of traction there too. um
Yeah. That's where I started posting was because I just was posting into the void, as they say, and you just like you dump a thought and it's like it goes nowhere. Uh, yeah, so if you're into Bitcoin, definitely join the Bitcoin Army. There are some brilliant people in the Bitcoin Army. They're so creative and
yeah,
like they're so smart. It's incredible, and that's where I started. And so I talk to them all the time, like every day. I talk to groups of people on the Bitcoin Army because there's so many great minds on there.
yeah. And you'll see new Bitcoiners that join, and they're still earlier on the path, say, and asking questions that I would have asked years ago. And instead of being like, what, you don't get it, oh, whatever, it's like, oh, welcome, here, let's
Yeah,
shepherd you along. No shit coins, no. And it's positive too. Michelle was one of the first. So Michelle, Stacy, Jimmy, they really kind of got it together early. um, and it's evolved. But Michelle was your first guest on your podcast, I think.
yep,
And she has a great story about all that. But she's good about, this is positive, educational, post and support each other. We're here to learn. It's really trying to manage just people who want to troll or FUD. It's like, get out of here. So
yeah,
it's a good positive community as well.
absolutely.
Well, is there anything I haven't touched on or asked about that you'd like to share before we wrap it up?
No, I mean, I think we that was a great conversation. I think we covered a lot. Thanks for sharing my YouTube channel. I'm trying to grow that. That's one of my goals. I would
Yeah,
love to grow that. It's difficult. I didn't realize growing a YouTube channel would be so difficult, and I guess that's why not everyone has a massive YouTube channel, because if it was easy, everyone would do it. And
sure.
so yeah, that's a goal. So thanks for sharing that. Um,
Totally.
yeah, I mean, I try to produce at least one podcast a week nowadays. I used to have someone that helped me with editing, uh, and he dropped off. So I'm on my own. So I used to do two a week, but now I'm down to one a week. And then I think I'm going to integrate some other small short form in the future. Like next year, I'm going to try and do little short form videos, 10-15 minute rants about certain topics that I find I'm passionate about. And yeah, I've had some great guests on there. You can tell when I had my editor jump in is when the thumbnails started, because I didn't know how to create thumbnails. And so now I'm learning.
Yeah,
But
you're building your skill stack, I mean, and that's the thing. You think, well, number one, can I like hit record and talk on camera? Oh, okay, now I need to edit this. Oh, I want it to pop. Oh, I need thumbnails. Oh, should I do clips and shorts? And then it can consume whatever you want to give it.
yeah,
Like the format of this here, I do it this way because I've got a very preoccupying fiat job day by day, and I can also randomly get calls in the night or after hours for stuff and attend to things. So I have, and you have family. I have family, and then I have other Bitcoin hobbies or things I'm working on, projects and like MicroSeed, and so like I'm very busy, and so I've had to kind of winnow down. I wish I could be more engaged on X. It's hard during my day to stop and post unless I'm like going to the bathroom or something. It's like I can't always stop and think and post creatively. when I do podcasts, it's like I found, man, I can barely get a decent-ish thumbnail together, let alone edit a whole lot. So the live format's been an easy way to just, hey, you know what? We're rolling. I click go. It's got an intro and an outro. In between, it's what it is.
Yeah.
You're
No,
welcome.
this is great. It's great. No, I should do a live one too. Where does this broadcast to?
I uh so I've evaluated, maybe if I'm going to get monetized, do I want to just focus on YouTube and just try to link it to YouTube from X? What does X suppress that? I'm not always sure, but just because it's easy and because I haven't dove into what works best yet, it streams out live to X, YouTube, Rumble, Kick, and Twitch.
Okay.
Now, I'm not really active on Twitch, and I've heard Kick maybe is somewhat popular in Australia. I don't know a lot about it. There's bots and stuff on there, but I just put it all out there and say, hey, I don't know what might stick, but
Yeah.
off it goes. So
Awesome. Yeah, I've
that's where we're
never.
at.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I should try and do a live stream. I've never done a live stream on my own show. I always just do record, edit, post, and
Yeah,
then short clips. But yeah, it's fun, man. I love it. Talking to Bitcoiners about Bitcoin, and then other things get brought up. You talk about life, you talk about things outside of Bitcoin that are important because your whole world can't revolve around Bitcoin. Like, there are things outside of Bitcoin that you have to do, that you have to live, and so it's
yeah,
important to talk about those things, and how you navigate through them. I think it's important to talk about, and I think there's a lot of people that are like, they need to talk about it. Yeah.
totally. And just as like all conversations lead back into Bitcoin at one level, like, we're fixing the money, so we're fixing the entire world. Um, yeah, we might meander into all kinds of things. When I'm out and about just in life, and you have Bitcoin on the brain, or you're looking through like an orange lens, and you start to see like fiat and the incentives and the outcomes, and it's like, wow. Uh, it's always like on my mind, but then I have to kind of set that aside to just kind of function and not be totally weird and integrate with like a day job, like if
Yeah.
sort of like balancing with your wife, how much you dose your wife with Bitcoin. Cause and I've done this. I'm like really excited about something. I'm learning something new, something resonated, or I got validated in some way. And I'm like, Bitcoin, honey, Bitcoin, this and the other. And did you know this and that and the other? And she has a tolerance. She's not against it at all, but I have to tune in and pay attention, because there's a time where she'll like, if I'm talking too much and I'm on a monologue and her eyes glaze over a little bit, I'm like, okay, that's enough. Or I'm at work and with my coworkers and they're talking about, this came up yesterday at work. It's like, oh, so we take in and make cash receipts, money. We handle some money, and pennies are going away.
Yep.
Government's not printing pennies anymore. And where I work, they were talking about a policy over how we handle pennies and round down and do whatever. And people are talking about the sort of the superficial end of pennies and handling pennies, and pennies going away, and the cost of the penny. And I have to like hold myself back from talking about the broken money. I'm like, it's not just the penny. They're losing money on the nickel too.
Yep.
And a lot of this is psychological, just kind of making this seem like it's okay or normal, or 2% inflation, if you want to believe that, is just normal or good. Actually, inflation is actually good.
Yeah.
And I'll at work, I'll get into a little mini diatribe about, do you know where money comes from?
Yeah.
Do you know why this dilution and debasement is happening? Like, it's not just the penny, it's everything. And I have to check myself, because I don't want to get fired, but
Well,
anyway.
no. That's why Bitcoiners are on X. That's why Bitcoiners are more than willing to come on to shows like this, because we we have to find an outlet to talk about it. It's almost like it's like our little dose the drug we need. It's like we have to talk about it with someone, otherwise, yeah, your wife will go crazy. And
Yeah.
so you have to.
I need truth. I'm good for truth. Give it to me.
Yeah, and then something crazy happens, you have an incident like, I don't know, something like what happened in Australia, like the shooting. And then like Sean Clark, I'm sure, was like, I need to like talk to someone about this, because not just typing it on a keyboard doesn't do it. And you can only talk to your spouse or your friends so much. And you're like, maybe they don't want to talk about it. Like most of my friends don't even want to talk about COVID anymore. I'm like, that was the biggest psyop ever. How do you not obsess and talk about they wrote the playbook and they put it in front of your face and they did it to you and you fell for it and you still deny it. And I'm like, so no, I won't let it go. And so I'm going to keep talking about it. And now I'm so passionate about Bitcoin. It's the solution. And so, yes, I'm going to keep talking about it. And so it gives me an outlet to do that. It's like my venting.
Yeah. COVID was not that long ago. And I can almost just shut it out of my mind. Like, well, we've moved on. We learned our lesson, I think. Did we?
No.
But when you really think about what was going on, and you saw people getting chased down on the beach for sitting alone without a mask on, or being outside at all. And it was like, and like Sean Clark talking about like stuff I would see happening in Australia, um, and all over the world. But it was just like, I can't believe that all happened. And I went through a thing briefly at my work, and I'm in the public sector and public safety. And I have peers in other agencies who it's like they either got vaxxed or they were fired. And one buddy of mine, like minded as me, got the jab because he had to keep his job. And there were others who kind of had to mass quit or they got the jab. Um, my agency was faced with considerations over should we mandate the jab? And we're potentially going to require that in order for like us workers to keep our jobs. So I went through a moment of like, do I need to quit? Like, would I quit? Like, I enjoy the job. I need the job. Will I quit over this? Or you're doing the risk management. Like, what are the probabilities? This is all just sort of a financial psyop, and it's a nothing burger saline solution, like not going to hurt you, but we're just moving money, and it's no harm, but I'll be obedient. But then what? Is there another one? Yep, there's another one. Yep. Or they want us dead, or it basically is like, I was going down all these probabilities of risk of like, what is this? And, or maybe it's well intentioned free research with no liability on the company's part.
Yeah,
And
sure.
meanwhile, you're watching, the biggest growth in billionaires that occurred through those years was pharmaceutical execs.
Yep.
You saw all these pharmaceutical execs and these companies making massive amounts of money. And it's like, wow, I can see where the money's going. And meanwhile, it's in my office is right next door to public health. And public health was leading the charge, like, pushing, coming over to my office and saying, hey, and it was like, oh my goodness. So I had to make some decisions. And now ultimately I wasn't pushed into a corner, but I had to stop and think about it. And it was looking back on that, talk about
It's fucked up,
surreal.
man. It was so fucked up. It was
Yeah.
like you're messing with people's lives. Like people literally lost their jobs. They lost their humanity. They lost their minds over that, because it was like for a COVID shot, which now we all know was hurting people and killing people, and it's ruined more people's than lives than it's saved. And my wife had to go through the same thing. Luckily, when all that was rolling out, I worked for my dad, and he's if you want a spectrum left right, he's on the right. He's a Republican,
Mm-hmm.
and so he was like, I'm not taking that shit. And so I worked for him, and I was like, well, good, because I'm not taking that. But my wife, in Denver, dude, I mean, she was they rolled out and they were like, if you want to come into the office, you have to be vaccinated. And I was like, you're not getting that vaccine. I was like, you're not doing it. And she was like, if they might make us, or you'll be fired. And I was like, you're going to get fired then. And they put out the proposal, hey, we're going to mandate vaccines. They're oil and gas, even though they're very liberal, and they were in Denver, 60% of their workforce, because they were a producer, one of the biggest natural gas producers in the United States, maybe in the world, a massive company. And all the field workers, dude, they work in Virginia. They work in West Virginia. And they work in, what was the other state? It doesn't matter. You think these guys who are working for you are going to take a vaccine? And so they got terrible responses, and they said, okay, mandated vaccine is gone, because they all said they would quit, all the field workers. And they were like, well, we can't have landmen, they would lose them. They would lose all the drillers. They would lose all of them. And they were like, okay, we're not mandating the vaccine, but for the foreseeable future, you have to take the COVID, whatever, what was it? You had to prove that you didn't have COVID to come into the office. So every week,
tests, yeah,
the PCR, what was it called? PRC, I don't know, whatever.
PCR, maybe, yeah.
Yeah, they had to take that every
week,
every week for a year. They had to take that test, drop it off in the mail. Over the weekend, it went somewhere, and they would get approved to come into the office if you weren't vaccinated. So my wife had to do that for an entire year.
And then it becomes like the shaming of it, the humiliation ritual. Like, you're one of them, wear your star on your sleeve, all that. And
dude,
oh my gosh,
trying to push that. People were pushing that. You need to have a I'm not vaccinated thing.
Yeah. Yeah. My wife during that time, I shouldn't say where she worked, because I'll just say she worked in public health at the time.
Okay.
And she was like one of two people in the entire office that were just like, no thanks. And given some background there, legitimately could claim a religious exemption. And they're like, not good enough. Like, even in our state, it was like, you can't just say religious exemption. There has to be something like some other reason, which wasn't really well defined. But she was just like, no. And they had to decide, like, okay, do we let her go or not? And ultimately it's like, no, but you have to get all the tests, wear the things, have a air purifier running in your office all the time. And your office has to be closed all the time. And people have to knock, and this like ritual over, she's one of them, basically.
Yeah.
Now, meanwhile, we were working on having a baby, and then she got pregnant, and we're going to the doctor checks. And luckily we had a pretty cool doctor, but he's just following guidelines. Oh, AMA says this, CDC says this, WHO says this. I recommend getting the shot because it's guidance and all that. And she's like, hell no. Like, I have a baby, and no, like, my body, my choice, right? Isn't that? Well, yes, when it includes abortion, but not when it includes, the belief systems around those values to me were 180 degrees off. And so we went through all that, but we got through it. But we lost a lot of people to it. There's people today, we had a whole generation of kids, and I had young kids in school, and school got weird. All the kind of like, fear about our future and life. It's sort of like climate change, sort of like your own existence is like a threat to others or the planet. And it was just like anti-human. And so kids growing up with that, and then, and I don't know how much it affected millennials. I think it affected all ages, but like young kids growing up, and then are relearning as we come out of it, all the social things or managing anxiety, or for adults themselves, they got stuck. They got broken, and I don't know if they can get unbroke. I think people got deranged, and we don't have a cure.
Yeah.
So I don't
Yeah,
know.
it was devastating. It was devastating. So I'm not going to shut up about it because I think it's a big lesson that needs to keep being brought up, not to fall for that crap again because
Never
it's
forget.
worse than it was. Huh?
It's like never forget, because
Yeah.
when the next emergency comes, however it comes, and I think at some point, something comes off the shelf and there's the new great panic, that's something new now. Um, it's like, I hope people just can see it maybe coming, or when it comes, be like, have we seen this movie before? This kind of jibes with things we've had. Like, who's benefiting from this? What are the outcomes here? What is real? Like, don't trust, verify. So, not just to like go with the herd. Well, it's just the easy path to get along. I don't want to be weird. I don't want to be different. I don't want to stick my neck up. It's like having that courage, the conviction as a Bitcoiner does, to stand up for your values. So,
Absolutely. Yeah. No, trust and then, you know, pause, think about what's going on and then rationally think about it,
yeah,
how you want to move forward. Don't just follow the herd. Question things.
yeah.
Absolutely. Um
Sweet Biddy's on here.
I see that.
She may be on this podcast as well later, I think. So, down the road, I got Sweet Biddy going on. She's appreciative of the podcast. Thanks for joining us, Biddy. Um, with that, boy, it's been an hour and a half, and I really appreciate your generous giving me the time here to chat and go down our rabbit holes and get based. I appreciated it. These kinds of connections, the relationship building, the community, it keeps me grounded and connected. That isn't just the protocol and the math and the philosophies around it. It's the sharing around everything that Bitcoin touches. It's a complete life frame that encompasses everything. So I'm glad we got to talk about it today.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you inviting me on. I loved it. I love having these talks. I'll do it anytime.
Awesome.
And no, I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, I could have you again on again sometime. So, with that, couple of my mantras, I say run a node. We want the network secure and decentralized. So I tell people run a node, contribute hash if you can. I've got my little miners up there. You can't hardly see them. Get a little solo miner. Get you feeling like you got a little skin in the game. Run a node. Take self custody. So I'm going to wrap this up with my sponsor. MicroSeed. MicroSeed is a good way to take self-custody. I'm going to play that and we'll wrap up. So anyway, thanks for joining me, Vince. I really appreciate it. You can find them at the BTC Broadcast podcast, streaming weekly.
Yes.
Thanks, Vince.
Thank you. Awesome. Thank you, man. I
Bye.
appreciate it.
As a Bitcoiner, you know that taking self-custody is critically important. But if you've ever had a seed phrase, you've probably had it written down on something kind of like this. You can hide it or secure it, but paper burns, paper fades, paper gets wet, paper rots, paper blows in the wind. Paper has things written on it that might look important. So get off paper and get yourself a MicroSeed at microseed.io. Get the kit and crank out all the keys you'll ever need forever.